Allison, tonight a special half-hour installment of the National Sports as we preview the CFL season. Well, Memphis loves football the way Elvis used to love ice cream bars. No matter what league, the USFL, the WFL, the NCAA, Memphis always thrives, even if a league collapses around it. Well, the Memphis Mad Dogs following the same paw prints as they embark on life as a CFL team. Nothing will sell the Hound Dogs better than winning, and they had their first chance to do so exactly tonight in Calgary as they face the Stampeders. And the Mad Dogs off to a howling start. Adrian Smith takes the opening kickoff. The first play in team history, runs it back for the 53-yard return. Hey, that's an auspicious beginning. Pepper must have loved that one. The high-powered Stamps look to Doug Flutie. Second and goal from the 3. Finds Dave Sapunjas in the end zone at 7-1 Stamps. But Memphis has former Grey Cup MVP Damon Allen at the helm. Allen looks deep. Joe Horn, a 50-yard pass and run bomb. Horn high steps it in for the major. It's 11-7. Oh, style there. Mark McLaughlin sets up for a long field goal, 49 yards. He hits it for his 4th in 4 tries at that point. 20-14 Stamps at that point. And the first game of the Memphis Mad Dogs. Who'd have thunk it? There's your scoreboard. And you know, Calgary will be trying to not become the Detroit Red Wings of the CFL. You know, the team that can win every game, but the last one of the season.
We were able to retain status quo on the Canadian ratio, which was very important. And I'd say the only real disappointment of the outcome is that it's only a one-year deal.
That, of course, Dan Ferroni announcing the new collective agreement between the CFL players and the CFL. That, plus, of course, last night's win by Ottawa over Winnipeg signaled the start of yet another crucial season for the CFL. In this special installment of the National Sports, we'll take 3 downs to examine the challenges that face the league. First down, we'll look at the future of Canadian players in the game. On second down, we'll head south to see how the 5 American teams are shaping up both on and off the field. And on third down, we'll take a look at the new path to the Grey Cup. Barry McDonald kicks off our stories from Vancouver on the high price of Canadians in the Canadian Football League.
It was the most important Grey Cup game ever, for the Canadian players at least. BC with its full complement of Canadians against Baltimore with its all-American roster.
To keep this one in Canada and Vancouver for all the fans who've been supporting us all year.
I think, the Grey Cup game spoke volumes for the Canadian talent on our team, and I know it was kind of, one of the guys likened it to the 72 series against the Russians in hockey. We had guys calling from all over the league saying, you got to win it for Canada. It's not just the Lions. You got to win it for the rest of the Canadians. So, I'm glad we won.
The victory couldn't have come at a more opportune time for Canadian players. There had been rumblings all through the 1994 season about the league's plan to reduce or even eliminate the ratio.
I think if Baltimore had kicked your butt, it would have given the league a stronger argument and said that it's a better game with all Americans?
Oh, no doubt about it. It would have been the biggest negotiating point they could have had.
So what has been done about the ratio? Well, nothing. The league and the Players Association put the matter on the back burner during negotiations last month.
The concern that both sides had with the way labor and sports is right now, we decided the best thing for the league would be to extend what we have right now, status quo, for a whole year, right, entirely across the board, ratio and all.
Millington kicks it to the outside.
Would you prefer that there was no quota?
I would probably go on record right now and say yes. I prefer there would be no quota, but again, that's because we're now playing 5 teams from the United States that don't have a quota.
Pasaglia's kick is up. It's good.
I think we proved that last year that winning the Grey Cup that we are as good as any American team. We've won most of the games we've played against the American teams. So that really doesn't bother us at all.
For National Sports, I'm Barry McDonald in Vancouver.
Head coach John Matthews took his Baltimore, sometimes Colts, to the Grey Cup game last year. But they lost a squeaker to BC on the last play of the game. So they won't be satisfied just sitting on their laurels. Matthews knows the Canadian game. He also has a dependable, experienced quarterback in Tracy Ham. And only one thing will satisfy the hunger of a team that came so close last year.
Win the whole thing. That's, you know, nothing less than winning the whole thing. That's what we wanted last year. We didn't get it, and we were, you know, certainly disappointed. We're going to win the whole thing this year.
Baltimore was 2-0 in the preseason, outscoring their opponents 82-11. Clearly, they're the class of the Southern Division. The Shreveport Pirates move into their second CFL season with a lot to prove. They had just 3 wins last year, but Coach Forrest Gregg says,
we have a better football team physically right now than we had at any point in time last year.
They still expect solid fan support at Independence Stadium, thanks in large part to the addition of the Pirates' marquee player, former Texas Tech and Houston Oilers quarterback Billy Joe Tolliver. He's learning the Canadian game quickly, including its drawbacks.
You know, as long as we can keep everybody healthy, I feel good about our chances. But, you know, with a 37-man roster, we got to maintain conditioning throughout the year and make sure everybody stays healthy.
Welcome to the CFL, Billy Joe. Alabama boasts an expansion team in the Birmingham Barracudas. They hope that the signing of free agent quarterback Matt Dunnigan will make them competitive in most games. But that's not good enough for Dunnigan.
We'll be competitive eventually. You know, Art Williams wants to be competitive now. We want to be competitive now. We're putting a lot of expectations on ourselves, and we want to go out there and duplicate what Baltimore did, except finish it right.
Dunnigan missed the last part of training camp with a broken finger on his throwing hand. He should be ready for the start of the regular season, but if he's not, the Barracudas have an adequate replacement in Reggie Slack to execute the run-and-shoot offense of head coach Jack Pardee. The Barracudas think they have the talent to contend.
Again, I think that we have the athletes here to compete with anybody in the Canadian Football League. It'll just be a matter of time before we get our team continuity together and be successful.
They may need more than a little continuity. In 2 preseason losses, the Barracudas were outscored 68-28. The Memphis Mad Dogs head into their first season with a solid core of CFL veterans, including 10-year quarterback Damon Allen and former Ticat Adrian Smith.
I wouldn't call this really an expansion team because all the people that the personnel managers brought in have been all CFL All-Stars, people that played in the league 5, 6 years, 10 years, so we got a good experienced group of people.
One of the casualties of American expansion is venues not built with Canadian field dimensions in mind. The end zone at the Liberty Bowl is shorter than CFL regulation, but renovations to make it wider included adding artificial turf starting just inside the sidelines.
Nobody's ever complained about that, and I don't think there'll be any problems. I think, in fact, it's a good warning for a guy as he goes down in that end zone that he's on the turf. It's sort of like a warning track in football, on baseball. I think it'll help the players.
After 2 years in Sacramento, the gold miners picked up stakes and resurfaced as the San Antonio Texans, bringing that Texas heat into the Canadian game. Coach Kay Stevenson still leads a solid bunch led by former NFL quarterback David Archer.
We've got some good football players. I think we've improved in certain areas. David Archer is healthy, getting the timing back. So we're where we want to be.
And where they want to be is San Antonio, where the quarterback for the transplanted team hopes to turn California dreaming into Texas gold.
I think we're a better team at this point in time than we were last year. I think that is due to a lot of the personnel decisions that were made in the offseason by Kay and his staff.
The Texans won both their preseason games. Now they're getting greedy.
We want the ring. That's what we worked for the first year, the second year, and it's our third. And I think we should bring the ring down to, or the cup, I should say, bring the Grey Cup down to San Antonio, the southernmost province of Canada.
Reporting from one of Canada's northern provinces, I'm Terry Walker for the National Sports.
For most of this century, the Grey Cup has been a Canadian institution. Politicians speak emotionally of how the game has brought East and West together. But that era is gone, maybe forever. In a new CFL with more American teams and a new emphasis on North-South relations.
Well, we're excited about the North-South division because what it's going to do is create some rivalries. I think it was time for us to do some changes because just from an economic point of view, East-West is not the way the world works today. It's North-South, and I think really what it represents is the future of our league.
This is the new face of the CFL. All 8 Canadian teams in the North Division, Divided by the 49th parallel, 5 American clubs in the South. The 5 best Canadian teams make the playoffs, the 5th place club joining the top 3 in the American pool for the quarterfinals. A drastic change.
I think there's no question it's made a very difficult scheduling problem.
So you wouldn't have gone with it at all costs?
No.
We thought it should have been a 4-team Canadian, a 4-team Canadian, a 5-team American. Then that way you could have had your own league and so forth. But hey, they don't listen to us.
Nationalism was aroused last year when BC beat Baltimore in the first ever Canadian American Grey Cup. It injected new life in a CFL with a shrinking and graying fan base. The North-South alignment virtually prevents an all-Canadian final in the future.
It means everybody has to compete, and that's the name of the game.
American takeover of the Canadian game, now the rallying cry for a league seemingly always in danger of collapse. For National Sports, I'm Mark Lee in Winnipeg.
Now, when we return on this special installment of the National Sports, we'll go around the horn with 2 CFL insiders. Now, earlier on this special, we looked at 3 specific issues facing the league this season. On this special installment of Around the Horn, we'll drop back and punt a few of those issues around with Marty York, who travels the CFL beat for the Globe and Mail, and in Vancouver, Eric Tillman, the general manager of the BC Lions. And I'd like to start with you, Eric, and we'll start about the issue of the United States and the CFL going down there. Now, you were involved in the possibility of a move to Jackson. Tell us why it is you believe that the CFL will sell in the south of the United States.
Well, first of all, I think we have a great game, Bruce. You know, I've been in both leagues. I spent 2 years in the National Football League, and I love this game. I think the tempo and the pace, it's a great product, and it's going to take a while in the southern United States in introducing the game and developing player familiarity and an understanding of the rules. But we have such a good product, and there's an affection, a real love for football in the southern U.S., so yeah. I think it has interesting potential.
People here want the league to succeed. They want to see Canadian football succeed because they think the game is a superior game to the NFL, but they just don't know whether people in the South will buy it, whether the people in the United States in general will buy it. What were you hearing back when you were down there?
I think the response has been very favorable. I think it depends on how you look at it, you know, and reading some of Marty's things, you know, he's pointed out the season ticket numbers, and I think they indicate that, that there's a low level of interest. But I don't think that's an accurate gauge. Because, again, you're going into markets that don't really know this game, that don't know the players, and it will be a gradual growth period. You know, I use Shreveport as an example. You look last year, you know, early in the season, they were having crowds of, what, 9, 10, 11,000. Yet at the end of the year, as they improved dramatically, and they had 2 games of 30,000 plus. So football is king in the South, and I think as they get to know the game, that the attendance will increase. This may not be a super year in either Memphis or Birmingham, but I would suggest to you that as the team does improve, that in 1996 you'll see a whole new acceptance of our game.
Yeah, Marty, he makes a good point. How can you expect people to go and lay out money for seasons tickets in big stadiums when they don't know what the package they're getting? Maybe the idea of publicizing season ticket numbers this time is maybe a little unfair.
Well, I happen to agree, surprisingly enough, that
that's a first.
No, I don't know whether that is a good enough gauge. I think you have to look at it mid-season and see how they're drawing at that point. Season ticket sales may not be the indicator, but by the same token, we know for a fact that the people in Birmingham are very reluctant to welcome or embrace CFL football because they've been jilted 3 times before by the WLAF, by the WFL, and by the USFL. So in Birmingham, it's very much a reserve judgment type of attitude. Right. And,
but it's a good football city.
It is a good football city, and they're going to have to be sold on CFL football. I think it can happen. I mean, Eric surprisingly didn't mention this, but Baltimore is you know, the model in the United States, and I mean, it's worked really well in Baltimore. And yes, season ticket sales have decreased in Baltimore a tad, but it's still interesting in Baltimore. At least people have interest. I think it's going to succeed.
When's the time, guys, that we say we gauge whether it's succeeding or not? Is it when the American football, the college and the high schools and the pros start playing? Is that when we say we know what we've got down there, or do you have to give it like 2 seasons, Eric?
I think 1996 will be a much more accurate gauge. But I'll be as interested as you will to see how it goes over in September and October. I do think the results are going to be good, though.
Yeah. I don't agree that 1996 is going to be the gauge. I think you're going to have to determine that this year, Eric, because, I mean, Las Vegas couldn't stand it more than 1 year. You're going to have to... Yeah, I mean, seriously, you're going to have to
I don't think Las Vegas is a very good gauge for this league.
I don't think they can stand it for 6 weeks.
I'm not sure why we ever went there in the first place.
Well, I agree with you. I don't know why Las Vegas. That was a joke.
Well,
but what about San Antonio? We don't know there either yet. I mean, there's absolutely no interest there.
But real quickly on this point before we move to the next one, Marty, do you see the ownership in those new cities being solid enough to withstand bad times? We know Las Vegas wasn't.
Definitely so. Fred Smith has more money than you and Eric put together, and
that is a lot. Yeah.
A.L. Williams has a bunch of money. That is definite. They're solid. And Fred Anderson, he's lost $10 million. I don't think he's going to want to lose much more in San Antonio. So he's a question mark.
Right. So this issue segues into the next one, which is about the quota. And of course, we saw today they've extended the CBA for another year in terms of the quota, 20 Canadian players. I'll ask you, Eric. It's still got to put the teams in Canada at a disadvantage for this year.
Well, it is probably the most sensitive issue we're dealing with right now, and it affects the competitive balance of our game. If you look back last year at the Grey Cup, we had the Baltimore BC game where we started with 20 Canadians, and we went out and we won the game. And many of our best players were our Canadians. That does not, however, address the issue of what happens when you get your good Canadians hurt.
Yeah.
And you look back simply at our first year here, 1993. When we came in, we were 10-5, I believe, and lost our last 3 games. And that was after we lost 3 of our best Canadians went down: Kent Warnock, Sean Foodie, and Matt Clark. And it was very difficult to replace them. So I am a proponent of Canadian content. I think it's in the best interest of the league.
What's a good number for you?
I would be much more comfortable with a number of 10 to 12, but that's... Again, this year we have a number. We'll line up and play, and I think we're going to compete at the high level.
Yeah, Marty?
This whole thing is a joke, okay? I mean, it's ridiculous. The inequity. I mean, you have to have a level playing field in a league in order to compete fairly. Yes, they won the Grey Cup last year against an expansion team, but this year the American teams unquestionably have the advantage in it, and I think it's a joke. And I'll also say that this agreement that was reached today, the collective agreement, is bogus because. I mean, it was announced today. This was reached some time ago.
Right.
And all it does is say, okay, we're going to play under last year's terms. We're not going to address the Canadian quota. We're going to take this year and we're going to discuss the Canadian quota again for next year. And you're going to have the exact same situation next year where the league is going to say we have to have a level playing field, and the Players Association is going to say, no, you got to have Canadians.
Quickly, one thing that's been leveled out is the fact I don't think we're going to see 3-11 or 3-12 playoff teams anymore getting in from the East. They've changed the realignment to make the teams better that get into the playoffs, but have they lost their tradition? Eric, I'll give you the first kick at it.
No, Bruce, I think it's great. I think that the public is sophisticated enough that they want to see the best teams in the playoffs, and this new format will allow that. I think it's a very positive step in the right direction.
Marty, have we tinkered once too often here, or is this a good thing as far as you're concerned?
I agree with Eric. I think it's a good thing. I think people revel in the us against them type of Grey Cup. I don't know whether the Americans will give a damn, but certainly people in Canada like to beat an American team, and so, yeah, sure, I think it's a good thing.
So the
and it proved that last year.
You said the CFL's done something good.
Yeah. Oh, don't quote me.
Let me write that one down.
Okay.
Marty York, thanks very much for this installment of Around the Horn. Eric Tillman in Vancouver, the general manager of the BC Lions. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
And Marty York, columnist for the Globe and Mail. Thanks very much.
Pleasure, Bruce.
Okay, that's it for this installment, special installment of Around the Horn. And that's it for this hour on the National Sports